Good morning, everyone. My name is Stephanie Van Vark, and I am a small business owner. How are you today? We have a very exciting guest. One reason is because she is an artist. She's a visual artist and a graphic artist, but also because she's in New York. So I get to ask her a little bit about what's happening in a whole new area. I like to call it our twin city just because there's so many people here from New York and so many people there from Miami. So without further ado, let me introduce Emily Klima. She's a visual and graphic artist. How are you, Emily?
Good morning.
Good
I'm well,
morning. Good
thank you. How are
morning.
you?
Thank you for agreeing to join us today. How
Oh
are
my gosh, my pleasure. I'm flattered.
how are things? By the way, I love the artwork in the back, and I'm assuming it's yours.
It is. Thank you.
Looks
I
great.
had to show a little piece.
Exactly. So let's start with who are you and what do you do?
Okay, so I am Emily Klima. I am a visual artist and graphic designer. I started my career early after graduating from art school as a art director. I started as a junior designer, senior designer, worked my way up in the fashion publication industry.
Mm.
And then I stayed home to raise my two children, and I freelanced a little bit.
Mhm.
And then as my kids grew and got older and we moved and needed some art in our apartment, I remember I would be walking around downtown in Chelsea thinking to trying to buy art maybe, or like look at art. And a light bulb went off in my head, like literally crossing the street, like on 25th Street down in Chelsea, where I was like, my kids are going to be in camp this summer. You know, I love abstract art. I can
Mhm.
paint. Why don't I paint? And all of a sudden I was like,
Mhm.
wow, and then opened up a whole world for me. That was 2007.
Oh,
And
very
I
cool.
literally started painting that summer, never stopped, like
That's
since
very
like,
cool. And
I
have
was
you
like,
turned it into a full-on industry um, where you're able to sell your
it
art?
did.
Good. Very
Yeah,
cool.
it evolved. Like it was never my intention when I first started. I just was like, oh my God, I'm in love with
Mhm.
this. Like I cannot stop. And I'm like, what can I do? What can I do next? And I just became very prolific. And then as I would be out, I would meet artists, and I happened to have met a lovely artist. She was Canadian, and she was having a show that's in New York,
Mhm.
I think that week, and she said, "Come to my show." And then when I went and I saw the space, I was like, "How did you get this? Like, what did like?" And I had tons of art to show. Um, she's like, "I put it on myself. You can rent the space. You
Wow.
can, curate and create your own show." And so I thought, "Wow, I got to do this." And so I figured it out, and I had enough art, and I filled the space, and people came, and people bought, and it just turned into. You're like, oh wow, okay. And then before I knew it, I started to do commission work, and
Very cool.
it really
Very
just
cool.
grew by leaps and bounds. Yeah.
So has that been in the past, that's been your core means of marketing your work is through gallery showings or some kind of event activity?
Yes, and I have to say, with social media now, oh my goodness,
Okay.
it really helps, expand your audience. A lot of it's word of mouth for me,
Okay.
um, and people will see other people's work. Can you hear me
Mhm.
still?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Um, but I, it was always like someone would see someone's work in their home, or however it was, however it worked out. But a lot of things for me is are word of mouth, including design work.
Okay. Very good. And so
So
you
yeah,
have two different streams of income. One is design, which is the graphic artist side of what you do, and then there's the art, the visual arts work.
right.
Um,
Mhm.
Talk a little bit, if you could, about how the pandemic has sort of shifted the revenue. And you don't have to talk numbers, but what side of your product has now sort of leaped forward as being more of a driver in your revenue streams?
Yeah. Well, for me, it's sort of interesting because I was also working full time the
Mhm.
last 4 years. I was part time, then became full time out of necessity, or so I thought. And then when I started to really have to work the 5 days a week, and I lost all creative time, I was exhausted. I didn't have
Mhm.
time. I was never home for even dinner. I realized that my very last commission piece, like I had finished it and sold it in October, and I had nothing. And I'm usually like, it flows. I get the commission piece. I can,
Mhm.
I just kind of keep going forward when I'm in my flow and I am being creative and I am working and doing my art. But because I was working full time and giving all of my energy to a full time job,
Mhm.
and I will get to
Mhm.
answering your question,
No, no.
I lost all of that. Then the pandemic comes. I got laid off,
Mhm.
and rather than fear it, I embraced it, and I just
Right.
started to really create at home in my home. It dawned on me that like people are going to be home staring at, wanting to refresh their homes, wanting to update their homes, and I just started to post and post and post and post and post. And it's not just me; it's so many artists.
Right.
I think
Absolutely.
we're having a time. Like it's actually good.
I
You just
agree.
have to not be afraid to put yourself out there. You just have to.
I think it's
You just
very
have to. You
interesting
just have to
because
throw it out there.
and see what happens. We had another gentleman. I was telling you earlier. We had another gentleman who's an artist here in Miami on the show, and we talked a lot about. And I've been excited by, the pandemic has been a horrible situation, but as in most traumatic situations, something about art and creative industries and music sort of is not it's about also raising your emotion level. And so I think people also look to
Mhm.
that because they need some level of beauty at that time when you're dealing
Yeah.
with such a tragic situation. And that's the great equalizer, I think. So have you been surprised and energized by this idea that the creative industries will shine us through all of this and maneuver us through all of
I
this?
really think so, and I particularly early on, I have a dear friend who's a yoga instructor, and I thought like this is it. The healers and the makers and the
Right?
creators, you know?
They're gonna save the
Here
day,
we are. Yeah, we're gonna we get to
even
give,
if we only believe
put
in
forth our
ourselves.
message. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's exciting. It's really exciting, and
It is.
for many artists, I don't have an agenda. I just kind of go in and intuitively create, whatever I'm feeling, what that day, and I've had some dark stuff in my life in the past couple of years, and it's interesting because every time I would show up in the studio, you'd think I would be painting some dark stuff. Never. I
Nope,
never did.
not
It was
going to
always
rest in
that. It was like literally like pink always won. I was like, okay,
peace.
so that is
That's
who inherently I am at the core level. Pink
right.
will always win. Yellow will always win. Like,
Right.
so it was
Right.
to me, I noticed that. Yeah. And I've become a lot more thoughtful and reflective during this time,
Mhm.
particularly this very current
Right.
moment.
Right. Right.
Um, and yeah, yeah, now's the time to
So
use
as
the platform.
obviously we've gone through the pandemic. Now we're in sort of in a level of civil unrest. Again, this is a perfect time for those in the creative industries to really help manage and move the messaging around what we're all feeling. I'm very interested to know. New York has actually not even opened yet. They're in the process of trying to reopen. Um, what is the business community? If you can kind of speak to the business community, the art community, what are they feeling about opening? Is it a nervous excitement? Is it anxiety? What are their feelings about their ability to maneuver in this new normal? What is that feeling like? Did I
Yeah, I
lose
have
you?
to say, it feels as if the
Okay.
pandemic has taken a total backseat to what is currently happening now. Um, but and also interestingly, like as a New York, a lot at the beginning, and it was like eerie, you know.
Right.
But now it looks like we're back in it. Like it just everybody just has a mask on. Everybody's out and about doing their thing. Um,
Okay.
Anxious to be out. People are anxious to be out. The parks are packed.
Okay.
Um, you know, wherever you can pick up food or get food, those places are busy. So I
Good.
think, you know, it's interesting. This phase that's coming up next week is, I think, all about retail. The retail stores opening.
Hmm.
So I don't know what's going to happen with that though. Now all these stores are boarded up, you know. But I guess they
Hmm.
will take them down by Monday. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Crazy times.
we've had some some situations here, some protesters here, but mostly peaceful. So that's
I'm
been
so
good.
glad to
We
hear it.
haven't caused a
Yeah.
huge monkey wrench, but we are slowly phasing in as well. So everybody's
Yeah.
saying to kind of get out and get to the places and spaces. And I think New York is going to be the place that we watch to see how you maneuver because of all of what you had to go through with regards to the pandemic. So
Right.
that's going to be an interesting thing to watch. How have you had to shift operationally in how you work, maybe your distribution channels, how you are able to market to your audience? I think you said you definitely social media has been your transition space. And will you keep that once we're back to our new normal, or fuse a little bit of the then and the now? Do you see the value in the shift?
Oh God, I do 100%. Only just because I have time now. You know, I can really focus and I can see it's possible. It's really possible. I do ultimately see myself more as like a kind of a hybrid
Hmm.
artist. So, you know, teaching, healing, facilitating, um, showing, um, consulting, doing
Hmm.
consulting work, curating work, just pretty much under the creative umbrella, you know, all of my strengths. Um, but I do think that I have been able to get to my studio a couple
Hmm.
times a week. I pretty much I walk there, so it's a good walk.
Hmm.
Um, Although I'm not that afraid to take the subway. I, you
Really?
know, I figure if you put your mask on and you keep your hands clean, like, you know, yeah, they're not crowded right now. So
Okay.
I don't
Good
know.
point.
We'll see. Maybe next phase I'll get on the train again. So anyway, I have been able to get to my studio. I've been able to work on some larger pieces. Um, it feels really good to be there. But while I'm home, I've set up like a makeshift little studio of my own on my dining room table, and I've
Okay.
just been sketching daily. I just sketch and sketch. You know, I do a lot of figurative work
Okay.
as a warm up. And it
Okay.
also is very therapeutic for me just to, you know, do a lot of nudes and whatever I can find to draw pretty much that like really piques my interest. So I've been posting a lot of that. I also, you know, you learn too, like the things that interest people. People love to see the process videos, like
Mhm. Yes.
so, you know, showing my process. I think the next phase for me is IGTV, like really
Okay.
talking to my audience.
Okay.
That's
Very
scary.
nice. That's a very
I
nice.
know. I
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Because
so I think I have to start that a little bit, and I'm sorry, and then and maybe to passively monetize, like make money passively, like overnight while I'm sleeping, like create an Etsy page or something like that.
or I mean, that's an interesting concept that you would go to HDTV. I that this wasn't anything I'd ever think about. Um,
Yeah.
is that an easy process for an artist
I
to?
meant IGTV, not
IG.
HGTV.
Okay, IG.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wait, HGTV. Okay,
I'm
okay.
like, that's not a bad idea though. How would I do that?
Can we get you
Yes,
in
I
there?
know.
But okay, hey,
Yeah.
HGTV, she's calling.
Yeah.
She's calling. Um,
You're
so
right.
who is your audience right now? I think we talked right before. We always have conversations right before that y'all miss. I apologize. You were talking about
Yeah.
how, when you think of New York or even a Miami for that matter, there are walls all over this country that need to be covered with art. Um, you know, you know,
Mhm.
I had the previous guest that I had on. We talked a little bit about in Miami. It's a new community. I mean, it's not a new community. It's a community that's new to the art industry. So there's a lot of having to. I'm trying to look for the right word. Teach the importance, the value of artwork. I would imagine it's a little bit more
Mhm.
sophisticated in New York. So, what type of audience are you looking for, or what type of market are you looking for that you feel would really be able to appreciate and value and pay for what you do?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there is a certain niche, the people that pay for your work, it doesn't matter what their income level. They just love your work, and
Mm-hmm.
so they buy it,
Oh,
which is great. But as far as like my niche audience, I would say it's definitely it's almost hard. It's like I've been told like you have to put a face and an image to who your audience is. I don't do that, but my audience is everyone. But it's probably everyone in all art appreciators and all you know, I want to say like I don't know on the Upper East Side where I live, but that's not really true. It's like
right.
Upper West Side, Tribeca,
Yeah.
Long Island City, Queens. Like it doesn't matter. Brooklyn. It's like I have collectors all over. I have a lot of collectors actually in the suburbs outside of New York.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so I would say a lot of my audience, and I love to target these anybody who's moving into a new home and
Okay.
looking to buy art. You
There.
want that. You want those people. That's great.
He needs those white
But
walls. He needs nothing with those white walls.
yeah. Because a lot of times I'll get like, I love your art. I have no idea where I have no room to put it anywhere. You're like, okay, well, you're not my audience then. you know. But thank you for loving my art. Please share it with people who need my
Exactly.
art.
So, have you
Yeah.
participated in Art Basel? Here every year we have Art Basel in December, which has become a huge festival. It is amazing. It definitely draws collectors from all over the world. Have you had a chance to
Right.
participate? It's not the only one in the world, though. It's the third, I think. They're all
Yeah.
in different places.
Yeah.
So, have you
Yeah.
been to any of them?
I haven't participated in any of the fairs really. I think actually I did do the Outsider Art Fair, like one or two in New York City as a group gallery with someone.
Mhm.
I've never been to Art Basel. That's why when you were saying like, we need to educate or teach, your community about art. I'm like, you have Art Basel though. Like you have that. Do people go to that? I mean, yeah.
Yes, we go, and what has really been more exciting is Art Basel has sparked a lot of satellite activities that now have brought it into the community. So there's, for example, Soul Basel in my community, which really focuses on African American art. There's art of Black. There's definitely art around the Hispanic diaspora.
Right.
There's an opportunity for artists who may not be in the mainstream, but really are the voice of a culture to showcase their work. And that I think has helped sort of to
Yeah.
really, think about the value of what comes, and it's created a platform for artists to really sell their works to collectors.
Right.
A lot of the people that come to the bigger events are collectors. They're people who are very sophisticated and have really been aware of artists for years. and
Right.
have a favorite artist, or understand the works and understand the value. So that's been an interesting thing to see how it's opened up to a new opportunity, I guess. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
I'll
yeah,
have to come. I'm going to come one day.
I mean,
One year I'll be there.
it is fun, and even for those of us, I love art. I can't say I'm an expert of it at all. I appreciate the creative process for sure. But
That's all you have to be.
you
Not an
really have
expert.
to create and respect the creative process for
Yes.
sure.
Right.
But it is a really exciting thing. I think the Knight Foundation sort of launched this idea that art is a very important part of our community, and it's definitely an industry that can really thrive in a community like ours. So it's always interesting to
Yeah.
compare notes with New York, where it's a little more familiar. People a little bit more aware
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
how it works. So have
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
had to participate in any, or did you apply for any of the loans, the grants, or any of the small business opportunities out there? And what was that
I
process?
right before the pandemic, I was applying for grants
Okay.
actually, so that
Okay.
I could stay in my studio and like whenever I could get there, I can paint. Because I really was bringing in no income for like the last 6 months, and it was getting stressful. Um, Other than my job, and so I was preparing a grant, like a really great one. It's for artists who are 50 and older, or 45 and older.
Oh,
And I thought, wow,
that's
this is so great.
awesome.
So there I was preparing it, and then when I went online, when I was finally home because I was whatever laid off from work and the pandemic started, I thought, oh, I can really focus on this grant. I can sit and write and tell my story, and they postponed it for a whole year, not even a few months, like a whole year. I was
Oh,
like,
how the
oh my god,
foundation.
yeah,
This
yeah,
is
yeah. So
the
there was
most.
that. But so there are, though, I have seen a lot of emergency fund relief
Okay.
grants. I have not applied for those because I've been busy selling my work.
Okay,
I'm so
good. Good.
grateful, so so grateful.
Good. Good. Good.
And I other than that, I collect some unemployment through my job,
Okay. And
which
what was that process?
is also helpful. That it was okay. I was very nervous because everybody's like, "Oh, you're going to be on the phone for hours, and good luck getting on." And the system crashes constantly, and it did, like the first day or two, and it was
Mhm.
a little overwhelming. And then I decided to go on at like midnight or something, and I registered.
That's amazing.
I was able to register. You just have to read all the fine print,
Mhm.
and calm down, take a breath. It's all okay. And I was able to do it. And you just have to remember to file each week.
Has
But
the
it's for a limited amount of time. So,
they only gonna let
these
you get
checks
away
aren't
for
coming
a
every day.
while.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
Have your municipalities? I know locally we've had several municipalities that are also getting into the game of trying to help support small businesses with small grants. Are there things like that going on in New York as well?
oh, yeah.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I was on GoFundMe the other day because I wanted to make some donations. Um, and I did one for the for artists, low
Okay.
income artists. That
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
I'd find myself giving more, and actually, when you give more, you receive.
Give
It
more.
turns out, so it's like if you have $5 or $10 to give, you'll be surprised. It
Yeah,
comes back tenfold for you. Yeah.
I agree.
So yeah, I have not participated in them, but I am giving to them because I can right
Okay.
now, and it feels really good. Yeah. I mean, not tons and tons and tons, but yes, there are those programs a lot. I see them all on Instagram.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Now,
and oh, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say there are all sorts of hashtag like artist support pledge, the pandemic challenge. And I participated in that. That's nice for exposure, actually.
Exactly. It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
now, are you in touch with your community, meaning the art space, or other professionals in this space? And what conversations are you having about where do you go from here? How do you prepare for the new normal? Make sure you're prepared should we, go through something like this again. We've talked a
Yeah.
lot on this show about the emergency plan, if there's any such thing in your industry. What are those
Hmm.
industry conversations that are happening right now, that just are very important conversations to have, and actions?
Yeah, I actually facilitate an artist group called the Artist Halo,
Okay.
and we meet once a month. And since the pandemic, we've done it all online, and we did it every week. And we're taking a big break now. I think everybody is processing differently,
Hmm.
and coming to their art differently. It's like some just have abandoned it altogether. Some have decided to do different things. However, people are experiencing it, so I'm sort of allowing for that. But I have it, and one person shows up, six people show up. You never know, like
Right.
who's coming. So, but that has been a big topic, and I am trying to facilitate or take action with each of these artists and do like an interview to get their artwork out there.
Mhm.
How has the pandemic changed them, their approach? What do they want to see the same? What do they want to see differently? What do you miss? And so, as far as I have not really discussed like emergency plans or anything, but I always
Mhm.
think it's important to,
Be.
I'll, yeah, be aware, and also like reach out to people in your community, to any of the funds or anything,
Right.
yeah, don't be afraid. I mean, people are here to help you. I have an amazing community of friends who are incredibly supportive, who are all probably listening right now.
Right,
I
exactly.
love you all.
Hey,
I
Jennifer.
love you.
Good.
So I mean, I'm so lucky. I always say that. I feel very fortunate.
So when you look at the civil unrest, I hope you don't mind me putting your business in the street, but I believe you and your daughter and your son have all been active participants in that. Uh,
Yeah.
and thank you very much. Again, this is a chance for creatives to step forward and really
Oh
guide
yes.
a narrative. I
Really.
mean, if you think about it, in the civil rights movement, music was very key in that
Mhm.
process,
Mhm.
in both
Yeah.
healing and um, calling to action. Um,
Mhm. And poetry. So
and
much
poetry,
poetry
exactly.
and writing.
Exactly.
My gosh.
There are things,
I have just been like drinking it all up in the last couple of
has
days.
been
Wow.
very powerful. How do you see that function? How do you see that creating, cultivating, today, in today's moment in time where we really
Yeah. I have to say, if you're an artist and you are listening to this and you are not
thoughts
using your
around
platform,
how you need to move forward and make it happen.
yeah. I'm sorry. I think I lost you for a minute and I talked over you. I didn't mean to. Um,
No, 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 no
but I
worries.
was just saying that, like, if you're an artist, like, my gosh, please speak up and speak
Right.
out and use your platform for good. You know, Sing it, dance it, paint it, write it, just get it out there. Support, show. I mean, right now for me, it's a lot of reflection and education because I need it. I actually need it, But yeah, I am like 100% in it. And to be in the march and the protest, and my son did it for all day yesterday, and then he came home, and then my daughter, and then when he came home, they were coming down our street. I was like, oh my gosh. And so there I am standing outside on my terrace looking down, and my daughter was like, what are we doing here? Like, let's go. And so we put our shoes on, we ran outside, and we like jumped in, and we stayed in for about 30 or 40 minutes, but it felt great. Ah, these young people
Right.
are amazing,
Right.
amazing, peaceful, beautiful, singing, chanting, oh, so good.
Very good.
So good. And it is like, fuel for creativity.
Yeah. Yeah, it
100%.
will be interesting to see for sure what comes out of this in the creative space. It's going to be a
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
sure, I'm sure. And you
Yeah.
also think about there are artists that have now gotten in the space that also try to champion, we want to make sure this is peaceful, no violence, but really go to the polls, do your census. This is where you really can make
Oh my gosh,
active,
yes.
active.
Please vote. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Please vote.
It's time. We gotta be there. We gotta.
Oh my God.
We gotta
Yeah,
be there.
yeah, yeah,
This is a whole nother show.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, right. I'll be on that panel too.
That's a whole nother show. Are you ever afraid as an artist? And trying to figure out day to day how you're going to make money as an artist to be.
Oh, all of the time. Every day, all the time. Um, yeah, yes, I am, because it's like even when you're in flow and you're earning and you're like you sold a painting, you're just like, okay, I need to sell the next one now.
Right.
So it all depends, like how financially stable you are. But in my position, yes, I need to be concerned all the time.
It's very
That's why
interesting.
I kind of wanted to
I,
hybrid, like a hybrid, do all different things with it,
so you
different
keep the
streams of
money.
income. Yeah,
Exactly. I
yeah,
mean, several people have said the same thing in the entrepreneur space that you're terrified every day, and it's funny because
yeah.
you always look so cool and like you know what you're doing most of the time. Your payroll.
I know, I know. Yeah, so it's a little, it can be, it's stressful, but what else am I gonna do? I, I, I'm like this particular time, these last 9 weeks, or how many? I don't know. I think we're on day 84 actually. Has
Ooh,
taught me that, like, if I want to really, I have to be aligned with with how I feel, what I'm doing, where I come alive, what I believe in, what comes naturally to me,
mhm,
and
mhm.
that is art and creating all the time, and reading and learning, and whatever it is, communication. I have to be doing that. So going to work for somebody else and doing something that you know is good work and has lovely benefits, that may be something I have to sacrifice, because I can't give this up. I won't do it again. I won't ever do that again. I will never go back to unless
That's
it's
interesting.
a job like where I'm, on the production side of curating some fabulous shows at the Met or something.
Right.
That'll work then. I'll
But
go
no,
back to work
it's
then.
interesting you say that because we were saying the other day, those people who are meant to be sort of, I guess, entrepreneurs or artists or whatever that looks like, that's just who they are. It's in their DNA. It's not, you can't imagine
Yeah,
doing that in any other
yeah, yeah,
way. And
yeah,
sometimes that's a
yeah.
hard decision to make for sure.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I feel like I've seen both sides now, and listen, I'm not saying it's not going to be a struggle
Right.
a lot of the time, but you know what? Then I'm going to do with less. I'm going to do, you know, I'm going to figure
Right.
it out. But I have to be creating and getting my message out there. Not that I even have like this like particular message. It's
Mhm.
really just, it's just channeled through me, whatever it is, whatever I'm feeling.
Good. Very good.
But I just love when it resonates with people. Like, I put something on my Instagram the other day that happens to say enough on it, because enough is enough, right?
Right.
And it's a little, it's got like definitely a much more stronger undertone to but it resonates, and
Absolutely.
I was
Absolutely.
like, okay, well, there was a message. I was feeling something. I put it on my canvas and I
Mhm.
posted it, and you know
And even behind you, actually, it took me a minute, but I realized it
Oh,
says
you
Rise.
see it says rise.
I
Yeah.
was just like, wow, that's subtle, but definitely a
I
beautiful
know,
message.
particularly right now, but I think at the time when I painted that, it was like so personal. Like, I
Mhm.
had to rise from my ashes, and you know, but yes, it speaks to
The world.
you name it. We all have to rise.
Exactly. Metaphor, I guess, for what's happening today. So I think that's very
Exactly. I
interesting.
I did notice that when I was like, oh, I'm hanging my rise painting up. I was like,
I
isn't
was
that
not
appropriate?
even looking over your head, but I was like, is that right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So let me see. Let me just make sure I've asked all the important questions. Oh, I did want to ask you, how do you your pricing? Again, you don't have to get into specific numbers, but in the world of art, I know there's sort of a level of trying to establish pricing that works within the market or attracts the market you're trying to reach. How do
Right.
you determine and look at the work you're doing and sort of set a matrix for how you would price your work? Or is that more about a feeling and the person
No,
that
there is a method actually,
you
and
get?
I do have to give a shout out to my mentor and friend Rebecca Schweiger, who you should definitely interview at some point.
Oh,
She has
I
an
love
incredible entrepreneur in teaching art and as an artist. I mean, and she's amazing. I took classes with her early on, very early on, when I was just like rediscovering my love of painting, and like, oh my gosh, I'm never not going to do this again. She was amazing, and I remember when I had my first show, I had no idea. Like, I was like, well, how do you price this? And she really helped me. And it turns out, and I met an art consultant last year who liked my work and wanted to show some of my pieces to someone, and she straightened me out on some of my pricing. But it's by size. Your
Okay.
artwork is priced by size,
Okay.
and your level of experience.
Okay.
And honestly, it should be. I could be like, oh, I went to art school, and that is important to me, that I had some formal training and that I was nurtured from a child, as a child, to be creative my whole life, and that this is my thing. But I don't use that as part of my pricing. You know what I mean? I'm still an emerging artist,
Hmm.
you know, and I have varied feelings too about being represented by galleries and platforms that take such enormous percentages. I feel like I haven't had the experience enough to know, so I welcome the experience, to have someone represent my art and sell my art and see what that feels like. I have it online a little bit, but
Hmm.
I can, I have so much of my own success. Like, I'm my own art consultant and my art dealer. You know what I mean?
Young
And
curator.
and and I have to say, working with the collectors and the customers and the people, I think that is just the best. They love to meet the artists. They love,
Okay.
I think it's an important part of the the process.
I think it's also
Uh,
interesting that you talked about both a mentor and just your research and going through education helped you really get to how you are to operate in this space.
yeah, yeah. So ever since then, like, so I had my first art show 2009. So she really helped me figure out how we were, and I sold the art. So, it wasn't off-putting. And then you just sort of incrementally go higher as the years go on, and as you create new work, and then again by size, which is weird, but that's how it is.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, but if you're looking
I mean,
for a formula and a way to come to a
you need a little formula.
I
It
agree.
needs to be somewhat formulaic.
I
Yeah.
agree.
I also give my art to, all sorts of, you know, I donate it.
Okay.
So lots of different charity groups and things like that. So, you know, I have all different ways.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
So I think those might be all the questions I'm making sure.
This was so fun. I loved it.
Except that I want to know what's next for you. Where will we
That
see?
is the $1 million question. Uh, oh my God, what is next for
What is
me?
the
Let's see.
dream?
Tomorrow is next for me. No. Okay. My dream.
What is
Yeah.
the dream?
It kind of varies all the time, but it's definitely under the same umbrella of being this hybrid creative healer facilitator. Like, you know, when I really have this dream, like I'm going to move out of New York City at some point. I just,
Really?
yeah. So yeah, it's going to be time. Both my kids are going to be out of the house. You know, it's time to move on. So I'll
Come on
probably,
down
I
tonight.
dream of moving upstate, and I know there's
Okay.
huge artist communities upstate. I
Mhm.
dream of having like this art barn kind of thing where I'm teaching, I'm painting, I'm showing. I don't know. Sometimes I dream of having this, gallery shop. Like, who knows?
I know the
It's
sky's the
almost
limit.
like wherever the wind blows me.
The sky's
But
the
I'm
limit. Just
so
open it
open.
down and open it is. I'm coming. I promise I'll come.
Oh,
For
good.
the
Okay, good. It's funny because I talk to people and I'm like, you're my ideal person that I want to register for my, blissful art weekend. What do you want to see? Like, what would you want? So I
yeah.
like always ask. So think about it.
Yeah, that is very cool.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
really do hope you will consider coming to Art Basel. I think that's gonna, I mean, if you
Oh,
can
for sure.
get involved in that, I think that would be amazing. It's an
Yeah.
amazing time for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. I've heard amazing things and it's really fun.
It is. And
So
we're
I'll
close
show up.
by. So Jennifer and I live in the same area. So we're close by all the activities.
Oh, good. Okay. Jen, I'm coming to stay with you. I know she's listening.
Jennifer, we got you.
Oh, so funny.
So, thank you so much for agreeing.
Thank
Before we
you.
leave, can you please tell us how we can find you if we want to commission you for some of your art?
100%. Okay, I have a website. So it's www.emk-art.com.
Mm.
And then I'm in Instagram at Emily Klima Studio. And I'm on Facebook, Emily Klima Art, or just even me, you can reach me at.
Okay.
But I have all ways to be, you can communicate with me through all of those.
Okay.
Come and get it. Come and get it.
Thank you. Keep the
Well, thank you
beautiful
so
message
much,
coming for
Stephanie.
sure. And I thank
I
you so
will.
much for agreeing to be on the show for sure.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. And if I have other people.
Oh, I would love to
I would
really.
love for you to interview Rebecca. She's amazing.
I
Yeah.
will definitely give you a call. I'd love to talk to
Okay.
people. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
So thank you everyone for joining us again today. That was, that was right down my alley because I consider myself a creative. So I love to learn how the creative process turns into entrepreneurship. So thank you again for joining us. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock, we will have Omi Diaz Cooper from Diaz Cooper, graphic artist. She's a graphic artist here in Miami, also a creative. So it seems like this is the week of creatives. And very excited also today because I think she's the first guest or the second guest who has not been based in Miami. So we get to learn a little bit about another location. So thank you. See you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Have a great day, everyone.